The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle, where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships. Or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell, and today I have a very special guest. You guys are going to love Gary, but Gary Linehan is the founder and creator of the Human Garage. He specializes in fascial maneuvers. He's a lifetime biohacker, fascial expert, and I actually used to be one of his clients down in LA. So I'm super excited to have you on the show today.
Well, technically you're still a client.
Yes, I am. But yeah,
and it's great to be back, Jesse. And this is the first podcast I've done in over 18 months. And I was just on the phone with Ben Greenfield yesterday, and we're just talking about, because we've been silent. And for those of you guys who've been following us for a while, we purposely dropped off the radar so we could create the new. And we can get into that for a while, but just starting off, the Human Garage, we closed. It was I tried to do it in a very nice and judicious way, but with 10,000 active clients, there's always problems.
Sure.
And I'm licking my wounds from closing, but we needed to create space for this and what you got a chance to experience today. And by the way, we got to get a before and after picture of you on camera, because you look completely different.
Okay, awesome. Well, it might be, I mean, it definitely, like, as I went through that with you, like, I mean, I feel different physically. So just being on here, I mean, I'm sure I look different just from, what we just went through. So
significantly more color, less stress. So we're sitting here. We have a retreat center, training center in Lions Bay, Canada. And officially, Jesse, my last public treatment to, anybody in the world was 10 days ago. These hands will never touch another human being for the purposes of treatment again. And, but I have all the time in the world as we roll our practitioner training and our online training. So I'm now giving all my time for the purposes of helping people help people. Because if I help you and you help 1,000 people, then I'm helping 1,000 people. Directly and indirectly. If I go work on 1,000 people, then I'm just going to kill myself. And that's what I did at Human Garage. I had a desire to help the world. But, here's the issue is 7 years in, at about the 9,500th client that I had sat down and worked on hundreds of thousands of treatments, 50,000 lab tests. I had been with all these practitioners, everything from allopathic and cardiologists and internal medicine doctors to chiropractors and physical therapists, acupuncture. We had the entire full meal deal, and you saw that.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, there was still something missing for me. I'll tell you what happened is 2 years ago, I went on the first vacation in 7 years. And I was working 6 days a week, trying to move this forward and trying to train everybody. And then I got on my vacation, and guess what happened? This is my third day into my vacation. Body crashed. So I've been in pain for 20 years. And I thought that in the last 10 years, I've been in healthcare with the Rubenstein Center and then the Human Garage. And I've been using my own practitioners as tools to keep me moving forward at an insane rate. And I felt great. I honestly did. And I thought I was great. And then here it is. I go out and I go away for vacation my first time. And on my third day, my body started crashing and I had to leave and fly back to LA because I didn't even, our treatment, our chiropractic doctors were different. I wouldn't even accept adjustments or anything from anybody else because we had developed our own style.
Right.
And then I realized I had a little bit of a come to Jesus moment, and I realized I hadn't fixed anything, Jesse. I just got a bigger, better Band-Aid. And so I went on this quest to end my relationship with the need for practitioner care. Now, if you're a practitioner out there and you listen to this, I'm not saying practitioners don't need to be there, but as a practitioner for myself with over 10,000 clients, 80% of the time I'm just babysitting them. Here, like, hey, they won't do 10 minutes to save themselves. Like, we have this non-surgical facelift kit, and you get part of it there. You feel great, right?
For sure,
it makes
yeah.
your face better, but I couldn't get anybody to do it for their health. But you tell them that their face looks better, they'll do it 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So this is part of the problem is that I was spending them as a coach, as a health coach. And, with a whole medical practice and lots of evidence behind me, I was spending all my time trying to get people to actually do the right thing. And they wouldn't do the right thing. And the frustrating thing was, here's the truth of it. And I can tell you from working with over 300 practitioners personally, and I have over 1,500 doctors of all types as clients over the last 10 years. We don't take care of ourselves generally. And for those of you out there who do, I'm just saying I didn't. And I've noticed that most of the people I worked with didn't. So I'm sitting there working on issues with people when I had issues myself.
Right. And I think maybe what we, because I come from 20 years as a personal trainer, I think we have a tendency to tell people what to do, and we kind of become self-righteous in that like we're not actually practicing what we preach. And so a lot of times we tell our clients the very things that we should actually be doing. And yeah, I mean, I think you just have a tendency when you're in a position like we are, where you're helping people, it's like we want to help people. And so sometimes in helping them, we actually make them worse because now they become dependent on us. And I think that's a great point you brought up.
Yeah, well, actually, that's exactly what happened. I'll only talk about my story from this point forward, because everybody has their own journey. But I went from 20 years in pain, of 2 to 4 pain for 10 years, and 6 to 9 pain for 10 years. Found my solution by building a series of practitioners around me. Basically, I had been going to chiropractors, physical therapists, all these areas to take care of myself. But I got to a point where it started working, but I was doing 3 to 5 appointments a week. And being in business, I'm from the technology business. I'm going to be sharing this online a lot, but I was one of the world's largest data encryptors. And what I did was I protected secrets for people, governments, agencies, 3-letter agencies all over the world. And as a result, my experience with them is, and I part of the reason why is I'm writing a book, and I had to leave the United States to write this part of the book. This is where my body broke down, because I've been managing myself with all this care. But I was holding data at a level that couldn't be decrypted by the US government. I'm Canadian American. And when they asked me to turn over my access in 2005, I called them out and said their whistle blew. And I said, hey, these guys are doing something illegal. And they arrested me because I wouldn't give them my keys, and they held me for 27 months. 17 of those months I was in solitary confinement, and I was treated as a terrorist. They said I was a drug dealer because that's the only thing they had. Long story short is I was looking at 40 years, and we were negotiating and fighting, and at the end of it, I got out. And when they realized, they came in and they realized that I wasn't going to give them what they wanted, which was they wanted the access to my servers. I had governments, law firms, and agencies. I was the guy on top of BlackBerry. So when BlackBerry needed encryption, I did it. And so that was a part of my story that I left out on purpose. And there's a reason why, because what they did to me was illegal. And, at the time, people didn't believe that the government did that stuff. But today it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Now it'd be like, okay, well, that's happening everywhere.
Yeah. So now I get to tell my story. But before telling my story was poking the bear even more. And, this is the journey of also the human garage. I've tended to poke the bear. At the end of it, as you know, human garage, we've been sued by the FDA, sued by medical agency. We've been attacked and sued by everybody. We even had our bank. I'm clear to say this now. Wells Fargo stole 6 figures from us and said, sue us. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So,
Wow.
so this is the journey of people that really want to help. And I know that you want to help. I know you're getting censored and shot at as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's going around all over. I mean, you try to figure out the way around it and you just keep going forward. And I think that's what's, cool about what you're doing is like, I've watched you not only at the Human Garage, but like I knew you were building something on the side because like I hadn't really heard what you were doing, but like I kind of watched the behind the scenes as like a business owner. You're watching somebody else build something, but they're just not coming out and saying what it is. And so it's amazing
Out
to
of
have you
curiosity,
here.
what did you perceive that? I'm curious now.
I knew
Is
I knew you were building something with manual care and just the way that everything's going. I could see it was some type of, virtual platform that you could do a lot of the stuff that you used to do in person on. I mean, if you're a business owner who wants to pivot and make it through the period of time we've been in, you have to do that and you've made that possible, but I don't really know anybody else in your industry of manual care that has done that thing or even close to it.
Well, so here's what I see about a lot of online stuff because I'm launching right now with 5 major fitness brands across America and Canada, representing their combined bases of clients represent about 25 million people.
Wow.
And what we're doing is we found a way. Well, first of all, we found a way to do online, get better results than we did in person. So, like for example, we just did 3 of our 10 maneuvers with you. And how do you feel?
I feel amazing. I'll sit here on camera and say, man, like 2-3 weeks ago, I could barely get up out of a chair. And was in pretty crippling pain for the first time in my life from just sitting at a desk. I mean, normally it would be from, maybe playing football at one time, but I did nothing. And so coming into this, I'm like, man, all right, I'm not going to tell them my back hurts, but I want to see what it actually does. And I can tell you standing here, like I don't feel any pain whatsoever. And earlier this morning when we were talking, I was in pain.
Well, so here's a good idea. Here's a good reference. By the way, everything we did, we can also do sitting down.
Okay.
So the whole point was I was looking for a way to remove the need to feel good in my body. Now, irrespective of what it is or what type of discipline, I wanted to feel good. And the reason I went to chiropractors and physical therapists and acupuncturists and reflexologists and massage and all the other stuff I did and the red lights and the steams and the saunas and the baths, because I wanted to feel better. At the core of it, that's what the end of it. And if I feel better, I perform better.
Right.
And so everything that I'd never found a way to do this. And like I said, my crux point was when I went away and then I was in trouble again. And I felt like I was back in the pain that I had started and created. I felt like I was right back there again. So these 10 maneuvers over the last 18 months, and I had a base of them, and then I moved into all 10. And there's only 10 maneuvers, and they never change. When I was able to remove all of my need for practitioner care of all forms, including dental, which is crazy, and I'll explain that to you too. I first was really angry. I was angry at myself because I was a practitioner at 10,000 active patients, and we had all the practitioners there. I was angry at the industry. I was angry at people, but I wasn't really angry at practitioners because they were executing what they told was right.
Right.
But somewhere along the line, when I found out where these moves came from, like the origin of the philosophy, like how did it all come? I was angry at the world because this was so simple. What you did took 15 minutes and it bypassed, and you've been going to practitioners and acupuncturists and all that, and you're still in pain, and you eliminated yourself in 15 minutes of us.
Yeah. I mean, I went chiropractor probably 5 times in the last 2 weeks, massage at least twice, acupuncture 5 times.
Yeah.
And it all felt better for about 5 minutes. And then
usual conversation.
Yeah. The minute I went back to wanting to do anything, it just flared right back up.
So the reason I want to first of all say that we acknowledge all forms of care as ways to move the body through to the next stage. I just believe as being in fascia and working with 10 years, I believe that, and studying it for 30 years, I believe that we just were looking at the equation wrong. Like, it's real simple. I mean, if I was to give you these glasses, and what you see right now is a line, right? Now you see basically a rectangle, but if I go like this, now you see context and you see the entire glasses. We've been looking at the body like this.
Right.
Some people even look like this, and we had to look like this because something wasn't working. And we had to come here, and the first thing we had to do is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire professional career in health was we wrote a new definition of fascia, because we were doing things, and I'll send you some photos of before and after. We were doing things in a single session and now online that we couldn't explain with any current view of how the body worked. Chiropractic didn't explain it, acupuncture, craniopathy, reflexology, massage. I mean, they all contributed to the idea.
Right.
But the final idea was it was more about how we define the body. So we decided to, in our book that we're writing, we divide the body into 3 distinct layers. And we rebuilt all the organs and the processes in those 3 layers. First of all, it's musculoskeletal, hormonal glandular, lower brainstem, back. Then it's the limbic system of the brain, which attaches to the organs. That's why your ears, that's why you feel so good right now, power the limbic system. And then organs and meridians, Chinese medicine, Ayurveda. And then we moved into thoughts and perceptions and fascia. And some people say the Kundalini, but I have a completely different view of all this stuff now. So for example, let me give you an example. Fascia is perceptual and it's emotional and it's environmentally sensitive. It's vibroacoustic. It's sensitive to the environment and it feels everything. So if I was to say to you that your mother died, instantaneously it's like, if you believe me, you curl over. And I'd say, no, she didn't die. Sorry. You'd stand up, thank God. So a perception, which wasn't true, affected your whole biology, your muscles, your bones, your nerves, your organs, your tendons, your muscles, your glands were all affected by perception. And there was no way to explain that anywhere in medicine or healthcare that we could find. And so what we did is we decided to take it to the next step and try to define that. And I was talking to one of Tom Meyer's guys yesterday, and he asked me a question. He says, "Do you understand fascia?" And I said, "Heck no. This is the most sophisticated, we call this a fluid adaptive biological computer. This is the most sophisticated thing on the planet Earth. We still can't duplicate the storage capacity of one body with all the internet." And I'll explain that in a second. And I said, look, I can program fascia, I can move fascia, but I have no idea. And every time I think I know, I learn something new. So instead of having fixed education and fixed concepts about what it is, we're recognizing that we don't know what it is and we're discovering it. But what we're doing is we're telling people how to work with it. So I can take somebody, like those movements work. I can show you how to assist somebody in a series of 10 movements. And I can show you how to do that all in 3 hours, and you can be good in 3 weeks. And now you can do something that your chiropractors, your physical therapists, your doctors, you couldn't do. They couldn't do. But you don't have to even understand how it works.
Right.
And then what we're doing is we're layering the understanding based on people's desire. Because we have beliefs, and today the last couple of days, we had the brain mechanics. We had a bunch of scientists here putting diodes on us. And we were checking brain performance, heart coherence at the same time, respiratory rates, stress levels. And we accurately can say this, and we will be publishing data, that 75 to 90% of your stress is gone in 10 minutes. So then you look at genetics and disease. Every disease in the world is stress related.
Wow.
And we could talk about this. This is not our first conversation, Jesse, but this is the first time that I've told anybody really about this. And we're doing it here on your podcast. And the reason why, honestly, I've been following you too. And the reason I don't care about how big the market is now, I just give a shit about people who give a shit about people.
Right.
And you know, I've done podcasts with the best in the world.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure, man. I mean, that's how I found you.
Right. And here's what I've determined. I would rather spend my time with you because you are literally in the fight, helping people. And if I can make you 100% more effective, then I've done my job. I'm here to help people, and helping people buy a new product or anything like, or learn a new way of doing something or selling something was disingenuous for me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I found out about you. I think it was through Ben Greenfield's podcast, and came down to you
And
guys.
I love Ben. I really do. He's
Seen
awesome.
you, and you know, just fell in love with the work and kind of the mission you guys were on. I will say that what you were doing is kind of like deadlifting this massive weight. And then just hearing you talk about it today, I will say, I don't think people realize the energy that goes into what you're doing. And when you start touching people and healing them that way and manually working on them, they don't realize that that puts stress on your body. And so really what I see now is a way for you to do exactly what, somewhat similar to what you're doing before, but a way for you to really help and heal people on their own so that they have the confidence to do that with themselves and others.
Yeah, you know, and you put it right, because I was seeing 7 to 10 clients a day every day for 10 years. And and I did that 6 days a week, 5 days a week minimum, average 6 and sometimes 7. And then when you go home, you got friends and family like, oh man, you know, and it never stops. So
Yeah.
basically I was working on bodies and sleeping and recovering. So at the, you know, towards the end of it, because there's a lot of emotions people are dealing with, what I find the dirty, dark secret is a lot of practitioners who do hands-on work, they drink a lot of alcohol. And we're writing this in a book because I was using alcohol and THC as a coping mechanism, because I was so wired at the end of the day, I had to bring myself down. And then there's moments where you get a little bit off, and that was my tool. But it's like a car. Sometimes is my tool to go places is my car, and sometimes I drive a little fast and I go around the corner and I get a speeding ticket. Well, you know, sometimes I drank a little too much, and sometimes I used a little bit of marijuana too much. But when I got myself free of the stress of all those people, then I was able to come back into my body. And when I came to Canada, the first 3 months was a detox. I spent a month in bed. Cynthia was nursing me through, and I had 5 days where I was vomiting 10 hours a day. And wow. I wasn't drinking water or eating food. And at the end of the third day, I started to freak out because I couldn't put water or food in, and I'm still vomiting. And I just kept saying, where's it all coming from? Now, for those of you guys who are science geeks, I took pictures of it all because that's the way I am. And we're making this, and I've got doctors who were there evaluating me as this going on, because there were moments and times where I was scared for my life. But I just had a belief that once I get through this, there's on the other side was this understanding where I'm at right now. And had I not had a bunch of trusted physicians around me, and had I not had people that were there that understood that I was going through something and not judging me, you know, because it sounded like I'm alcohol detoxing or whatever, and it wasn't the case. But at the end of it, the end result was I needed them to be my support to even tell me that I'm okay. And then we let my body do what it needed to, and I detoxed, and 30 days of solid detoxing, and then I've been rebuilding ever since.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing. And what I love to hear about what you've done is you've kind of turned your pain into your power, in a sense of, you know, taking the experiences you've had and been able to lay the foundation of kind of like where you're going, and just having that faith of knowing, hey, I'm going to go through this season because I know there's something greater for me on the other side of this.
Well, I mean, you're a trainer, no pain, no gain. I just took it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a trainer for 20 years. I played a lot of different sports and done a lot of things. And, you know, there was always that idea and concept of no pain, no gain. Fortunately for me, you know, I haven't had many injuries in my life. And so I've kind of, you know, I had that at one time when I was younger, but I've done enough things to know that that's not a very good way to approach, physical health and life. I do believe, the pain that we go through emotionally. Yeah, definitely. Those are things that we can learn from and grow from.
So this is where I start to challenge the belief system. I don't believe in physical pain or emotional pain or spiritual pain. I believe it's all the same. So let's talk about disease. So if disease, dis-ease, body's not at ease. So if you're angry, are you in disease? Yes. If you hold it in your body, it's over time, it's going to do something. And the single definition of being a doctor legally, the legal definition of practicing medicine is the diagnosis of the human condition. So I can prove to you right now here today that every single person from age 1 all the way to age 100 is a doctor. And I'll tell you why, because if you could diagnose the condition of human health, which sickness leads to death, that's a condition, then at the end, no matter how smart or what they know about the body, you died. That's a diagnosis. And then it is. Before that, you go to a medical doctor who has a bunch of tests that says, yeah, basically I got these tests that say you're going to die. So you got to change something or you got to fix something. And then before that, you get a natural practitioner of all sorts who says, hey, I got some tests, some other tests, and they're not going to show up on those guys' tests yet. But, and I see some behaviors, like you're a little angry and stuff like that. But if you don't change something, you're going to go to these guys who are going to give you a test, and then they're going to tell you you're going to die, and you're going to die. And then all the way up to the Buddha guru guy who just meditates, and he's like, remove the stress from your body. And so when I have an emotion in my body, if I'm angry, if I'm sad, if I'm fearful, and I hold that in my body, that's the beginning of dis-ease. So emotions cause dis-ease. End of story. That's my belief. And prove me different. That's my thing. Like you can disagree with me, but that's my belief. And that's what I use with over 10,000 clients to help them. So prove me wrong. Yeah. And so I was looking for the answer there. I was looking for a way to quantify that because, saying that your emotions cause your disease is not good enough. It's too woo.
Right.
So I was looking for science to back it up. And the more science I got, the more argument I got. And that's part of the problem, Jesse, is that the scientific model is to argue, is to prove something wrong. But, you can have 10,000 years, you can believe something scientifically and have 100,000 people write articles and papers on something. And one dude proves it differently. And they go, well, that's interesting. We'll wait for this. We'll wait for more people to believe in you, more papers. So it's almost like a popularity contest. It's almost like I need more likes as a scientist to prove my theory. So I'm going to go and create more likes. Guys, do you like me? It's
I was going to say, welcome to 2020.
Right. And here we are.
So one thing I will say is I remember hearing a story, back, I don't remember where I was, but there was this cancer doctor who healed people and they would come into his office and he would ask them one question, like, who gave you cancer? And if they said it was anybody but themselves, he would say, I can't heal you. I can't work with you. And so his success rate ended up being like 97 or 98%. Because he was working with people who could literally go back to the time and place, or like you said, the disease, the stress that they've had, that they could point out, oh, this is when I began to get cancer.
So actually, that's a really good point. So we had the same thing with the movement of the body and then the healing of the body. And we found other ways to look at it. After we had all kinds of data and analysis, and we put everybody into buckets, and we had all clinical notes from all the different practitioners. We had I interviewed everybody between 1 hour and 2 hours, every single one of those 10,000 people at the garage. And I was looking for a way to understand, is it going to work? Because I was saying to them, we can help you, and I'm charging them up front for that. And if I wasn't able to help them, then there's a disconnect and there's anger and frustration. So here's what we discovered at the end. The final answer is this. people describe their conditions in one of two ways, and they vary it the way they say this, but here's what it is. I'm broke and I need to get back to zero, to doing whatever. The other one is I want to do something and my body's not letting me. And they have different ways of saying that. But the first category, no matter what I do, they're coming back. Whether, at Human Garage, it might have been like 6 months or a year or 2 years rather than every 2 weeks. But they're coming back. And the second category, they never come back. And that's the ones I want to work with. So the Human Garage at first, up for the first 5 years, we didn't have a website, no advertising, no podcast, nothing like that. We had a little shop in Venice, and people would come to us, but you had to have a referral from another client. We wouldn't even accept the doctor referral. So our thing was you had to be referred. We had a website that says, call us, referral required. And we had a 99% success rate. Then what happened was, because people had to work hard to get there. So we found that people that are active in trying to solve their issue will seek. And if they're seeking, that's the first step to healing. If they're not seeking, if they want somebody to fix them, forget it. I don't care what they do. I don't care how good they are. It's not going to work. And so what we were doing is we started doing all this media and these podcasts. And then all of a sudden we went from at that point, we went from seeing 30 people a day in 2-hour sessions to seeing over 100 people a day with all of this media, and all it was people and fanfare coming in and celebrities, and because the core celebrities that we had, like Superman, Brandon Roth, if you're out there, and the core athletes, they found us. Right. They found us through hook or crook. Derek, Julianne Hough, people like that. They were the founding members. Lashinda Demas, Olympic runner, Tyson Gay, fastest man in the world before he was able. They found us. But as soon as they told the world where they found us, we started getting people who were no longer willing to seek. They wanted to be and so they rolled in. It's like, hey, fix me. And
I don't know what's wrong with me, but just fix me.
Yeah, and what's wrong with them is that they feel like they need to be fixed. Right. So here's what I'm here to say. The human body is designed to heal itself. End of story. If we could take a necrotic liver, so what happens if the liver's necrotic means dying, if we cut it in half, it'll grow in 6 months. And arguably the liver is the second. You can Google that. So even Dr. Google will tell you that one. So the liver itself, if you can regrow your liver, arguably the most complex organ next to the brain, which I don't think is an organ, I don't talk about as an organ, then you can regrow everything. And about a third of our clients who had their gallbladders out, we told them this, and I would manually touch them and go, you got a gallbladder? No, I had it out. Let's test it. Let's take ultrasound. Let's look. And about a third of the people that had their gallbladders removed at the Human Garage identified it. After doing the work at some component or some part of their life, I'm not saying Human Garage did it, their gallbladder grew back. But how would you know if you grew back? You're not looking at it. You don't look at it unless there's a problem.
Right.
So we don't evaluate the human body generally until there's a problem. And since we don't do that, all of our information about how the body works is when there's a problem. So it's like the difference of fixing a car every time the muffler breaks or the timing belt breaks, or tuning a car after every race. Like one of my best friends growing up as a kid, he was a factory rider for Honda. And he works on they ride the bike and then the team works on the bike. And I would ride my bike all the way till something broke. And I was looking at that even as a kid saying, that's a smarter way to do it. But that's not the way we're trained.
Right. It's a more efficient way to do it.
So do you know who I think is more effective if they know what they're doing than a doctor?
The person in the body.
Well, yeah, yourself.
Yeah.
But to help is a coach.
For sure.
Because a coach is able to point out things I don't see until I'm ready to see it. And that's what I love about you. You are able, and first of all, you're not only able to, you're willing to call bullshit. It's like, yeah, don't mess with me, dude. You're not doing the right thing. It's like you're not fooling me. And being in this industry, people come in, they're like, no, I've been taking care of myself. And I'm like, I know you did cocaine on the weekend, dude. No. Look at, I can tell you how your spine acts. Let me tell you this. And I can see this up in your nose. You want to tell me again? It's like, because the thing is that they want to hurt themselves, and then they want to damage themselves, and they don't want to take care of themselves, and they want to hold you, the practitioner, the trainer, responsible for their wellness, but
Right.
they don't want to be responsible.
Yeah, that's a great point. You get so good at understanding clients and tendencies that you can pick out things that they're doing that they're not even aware that they're aware of, but also, like you said, the abuse they put on their body, that you're like, hey, you've done this, and they're like, well, what are you talking about? I haven't done that. And you're like, you just did it like a day ago. How can you tell? Well, I can smell it on you. I can see it on you. And that's where you kind of have that intuition that I think a lot of people don't really see until they really get to work with you. Okay. So let me ask you this, man. There's a couple things I wanted to make sure that we went through on this, and
Sure.
this idea that you said, hey, I'm a lifestyle artist. And when you said that, I'm like, okay, well, what exactly does that mean as like, kind of like the title, but how did you come up with this?
Okay, well, so here I was in a situation, Jesse, where I had two lives. I had a life where I worked and I went to help people, and I had a life where I tried to recover from that. So I decided to turn to be completely genuine in my approach, and take every problem I've ever had on the chin, and put it out there, and then start living this way. So I'm in a center here. There's three of us, Cynthia, Jason, and myself. And what we decided now, we gave all of the assets and all of our discoveries, and we're putting it into a foundation called the Human Garage Foundation. And it's about a global fascial movement to teach the world how to live better, feel younger, have more fun in their life by understanding how their body works and making changes themselves. And because 99% of the world can't get here, and 95% of the world can't even afford a monthly subscription, we decided to give all of our content for free. So the basic moves of how I help myself heal and how you can do it yourself are for free. And we've set up an app or a community which people can get into. And I'll explain how this transitioned to lifestyle artist in a second. But the whole point about it was this. Every day we get up and we live in service of this mission, this goal. We do not have salaries, but everything that we need is provided, provided by the foundation. And what we do is we constantly are there to share, but we take care of ourselves first. Then we help other people to take care of, share with other people. And the first and most important part, if we're not taking care of ourselves, it doesn't work. Because then there's a discontinuity, it's disingenuous. And people can feel it. It's like a dog, knows if you're angry or mad, or if you're sad or you're scared. It's like people have a sixth sense that says there's something that's not right, and that's why they don't accept. They don't believe fully in the treatment or the practice. So a lifestyle artist is somebody like us. We live our lives in service. We cook, we eat. We eat together almost every meal. We cook, we live, we share, we sleep, we hike, we have our own time and all this. But our life and our business are really our passion is not separate. And the biggest part about that was disconnecting from caring for people for money. So there's no amount of money on the planet Earth that you can pay us to help you today. The only way that we will help you is if you have demonstrated you'll help yourself, and you have demonstrated furthermore that you'll help other people. If you want to help yourself, you can go to our practitioners, our fascial maneuver specialists. But if you want us to help you, you have to already be helping other people. And it's simply just living my core value, our core values, which is take care of ourselves first and help other people and have our life support it. And that's what we're doing. And that's why we live dude, this is like, I honestly wake up every morning. I go, oh my God, I can't believe this is my life. And it doesn't cost, it's not like it's expensive. It's just a commitment to do something.
Right. Yeah. I love the idea of lifestyle artist, because I have like part of my program is called lifestyle business. So it's like
Yes.
building your ideal lifestyle and then putting your business into that, because for a long time, business was the lifestyle. And when I lived that way, that was where, my marriage, my relationship with my kids got all out of whack. And
Yeah, me too. I had 3 of them.
yeah, so like when I hear you say that, I'm like, okay, well, it's really like the same thing. And I made a huge change for me 2.5 years ago, selling my training facilities and kind of walking away from 600 members. I was making great money at the time, and I just I'd wake up and I hated what I was doing in that
Yeah,
aspect of life, and I
yeah.
wanted to get away from it. And so
I get it. I hated what I was doing. I see it. And and the love of what I wanted to do was help people, and I hated the way that I was doing it. I got up every day angry because I was in physical pain. I was functioning, but I was like constantly. I mean, I was working 10 to 15 hours a day. And I thought I was in service of trying to help people, but you get this weird point where it's not working anymore.
right.
So part of the way that reason why we did what we did is we created, and it's a stepper. We have a very sophisticated community app being built, but we put an app out that everybody can join for free, and in there all the ways that we helped ourselves are in there for free, and we're just starting. It's in beta right now, and it'll release in January. But anybody who's on this can go to our website and join, but we're not marketing it.
Okay.
And
If you guys are listening to this, I'll make sure you check the show notes. We'll have a link in there that you can, go to for that also.
And so the idea is that what the part I had a problem with is that people were bullies when we talked about health. I mean, I've dedicated my whole life, like you have, to understanding human body. I've been 10 years in a medical practice, working with the top doctors and practitioners in the world, top athletes. And I say something, and I got somebody who took a yoga certificate who goes, that's not true. Prove it to me. And I'm like, why should I prove it to you? But this is the conversation. And when you put it online, it gets 100 times worse. Everybody is a critic. So we made a simple idea, and they're bullies. I call them online bullies. So in our platform, we have a very simple idea. It's to encourage businesses and professionals and people to share information in a safe form, no censorship. Because right now, as you know, we are censored, and you are like crazy censored. So right now, 90% of our audience doesn't see us anymore, just because we talk about things that other people don't want us to talk about. So in this app, uncensored, and you can go in and share, and people, because they are, every time they say something, either online or even online or even at a party, or they'll say something about vaccines or something like that, or about health, or about any belief they have, pesticides or food, and people are like, rah, 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 that's not true. And so people are so scared to share that this is the only industry where people are not okay to talk. So right. in our app, we have moderators who understand how to moderate a conversation, because I don't care what your beliefs are on vaccines. I want to have the discussion. I have mine. You'll have yours. At the end of it, you're going to do whatever you want to do anyways. But right. Let's have a informed discussion about why. And then where it happens is people start bullying. So we have a simple rule. You bully on our platform, you go to school. Now we're building the online Be a Good Community Member school. And if you get caught bullying again, you're off forever. Never to come back.
You kicked out of school. Well, so I would say 2020 is the year of worldviews radically being challenged. And, yes. I think our worldviews have been challenged more this year than any other year. And I think that's where we're having just a hard time just having a conversation, an open conversation about it. Is when you really challenge people's worldviews, the first thing they do is they want to fight back, versus kind of like, hey, maybe I could be wrong, or maybe the way I've thought things to be, could be wrong. Maybe I should listen to this.
And they default to the same things. You're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a chauvinist, you don't like other people.
Yeah, I always tell people they default to their lowest level of training and highest form of addiction, which usually means what was the original thing they believed and how's the normal way they'd constantly react to anything else like this. And that's what they always go back to.
You're exactly right, because, and by the way, we talk about that in detail because we've broken down the biology of habits and addictions. I'll throw this out as a carrot, but if you can drive 10 miles in a car that's 5,000 pounds, okay, and you can turn and negotiate through lights and give right away and all that and not remember you did it, at some point you have to realize you're not in the driver's seat. You're actually executing patterns and habits. And people we think we're in real time, that we're making all these great decisions. But when I drink this cup of water, it takes 2.5 years to develop the pattern motor control to do this without dribbling. And I use two hands because I'm 51, almost 52 on the 20th, and I still can't do it without dribbling. So, it's like people if they don't understand that we are a collection of habits that are being executed by our habit processor, which is the brain, then they are going to make wrong decisions. And that's what we find. And again, we're going to have these conversations in depth in a lot of our book and a lot of our app, and it supports your thought process. And that's why I wanted my first podcast back to be with you.
Yeah, I love it, man. I could sit and talk about this stuff, habits, all these things all day long, because, like you said, is like drinking that glass of water doesn't really impact you today, but doing that, for the next 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, that's when you really begin to see the impact you're having. And then now you look at that 4 or 5 years down the road and you're like, man, what changed your life? It was like, hey, one day I was on a podcast and I drank water with 2 hands. That's when it started. And I made a decision every single day after that to continue doing it. And I kind of think about what you're teaching is like, you're teaching about fascia. You're teaching about these maneuvers that are not meant to be done one time. They're meant to be done one time every day or 2 times every day. And you got to make a decision today and a commitment today to begin to do that so that 1, 2, 3 years down the road, you can see the cascade effect of just spending that 10 or 20 minutes a day doing it. Okay.
Now here's the best part. And now we're getting biological and scientific evidence to back this up. But the best part of it, Jesse, is that you will feel, this is where the catch is. I needed the drug to be good and strong enough as a drug dealer of feeling good that people would do it automatically. So you felt in 10 to 15 minutes, you felt good. Now you can repeat that feeling twice a day, not the activity, because the activity is something we got to do, but the feeling I want.
Right.
And so the beauty about the fascial maneuvers, because we're dealing with the container of the body, is that you can adjust the way you feel on the biology of it, 75 to 90% stress reduction, biologically measured, however you want to do it, in the first 13 minutes or less. It's a feel-good drug. And here's why it works, because everybody has their own supply. And all we have to do is we turn everybody into a drug dealer. Yeah, and it's like, hey, I'm a dopamine serotonin dealer. Like, what's yours? You like a little adrenaline, noradrenaline, norepinephrine. You're a stress dealer. I'm a feel-good guy. I'm Dr. Feel-Good. And this is the great part, because you're right. And here's why it changed for me, is because I stretched and I exercised, I did stuff, but I had to do it for a long period of time in my career as a bodybuilder, as a biohacker. But I finally found something that I do once and I feel the result and I notice the result and it changes my life. And then I just want to do it more because I already know how to create a habit. But now I just get the reward. I don't have to wait. It's like, get your cake and eat it too.
Right.
Which you did today.
For sure. Yeah. I'm going to hit this again tonight. And
so go in the app. And by the way, since we did movements 1, 2, and 3, which is pallet swipe, totally twisted, and anti-gravity because it makes you feel lighter. Then go into swinger, which is this one. Swinger, not swingers for all you couples. So anyways, go into swinger, and then you go into pullover. And those are, swinger is for your tennis elbow, stuff like that. Pullover is for your lower back, sacral plane. And then as you go through those 10 maneuvers, you're going to feel different because you're going to have a new relationship with respiratory or metabolic function.
Wow.
And that's part of what our book is. It's not about heart rate. It's about how much blood moves through the lungs.
That's amazing. Well, hey, I love having this discussion with you. I'd love to keep going another like 2-3 hours, man.
We'll do it offline.
Yeah.
Because
So how can people find out more about you? I know we said your app, but can you go through that one more time?
The webpage already there. Our Instagram right now. We're posting my 21-day full body, full life reset, where I just go through and do some work and talk to people every day for 21 days. But they can just go to humangarage.net. They can get online and they get into the app for free. And if you're a business and you're in the health business, you can set up a business account and personal account, and you can start doing stuff and interacting for free. And if you are an online bully, just know this: we are going to get you, because our community is strong and we've got scientists and doctors and all that. You can't push our guys.
Forget about those guys. I'll be in there. I'll get in there with the riffraff and get them out.
And we're just in beta and we're looking for feedback. And this is not the final version. Right now, this is just to hold the community, but we're building an app simultaneously. I just want people to know that.
I've been in it, man. I love it. Even if it is beta, it's amazing what I've seen so far, and knowing you, it's just going to get better as we keep going.
And then we'll have lots of stuff in there. We're going to adjust all of our content disclosure in there. We're going to talk very little publicly now because I don't really care. People who want to learn will find us and they'll come there.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on here. And I love what you're doing. I love everything about what you're about. And I just appreciate you and who you are, and also what you've been able to create, not only with the physical location of the Human Garage, because that was amazing at the time. There was nothing better than that. But just to see the work you're doing now, it's amazing to watch.
Yeah, the Human Garage is it's an idea of where humans go to get the information to tinker on themselves rather than a place.
That's a great way to end it. So, well, thank you so much, man.
Take care, Jesse. Thank you for all that you do, brother. I love you. And together with what we're doing, we're going to help the world change themselves.
There we go, man. Right on. Love it. Okay, man. Well, hey, I'll make sure you get a copy of this, and we send it out to you so that you can use it. And guys, if you're listening to this, I also want you to know that, Gary's a stand-up guy. So anything that he says, I want you obviously, check it out. But like, this work that he's doing is amazing. And I can tell you, I paid a lot of money to go see him at the Human Garage. So the fact that he's doing this now, and what you can do for it it's amazing. And also, if you guys are watching this, you can go to the video at the end of this. You can stay on the last 10-12 minutes and actually go through the body work that he took me through, and the 3 moves, and you can watch that. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Thank you very much. All right, bro. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse